You might be asking yourself, well, what's the big deal about focusing on employee engagement? And sort of a tongue-in-cheek type of thing I have is, if you don't believe in employee engagement, who do you think is going to implement all your great ideas, provide the customer service, provide a high-quality product, or build a high-quality product or service? Who's going to help you control your costs? And who's going to help you grow the organization? And a systematic part of the culture that we developed at both Baptist and North Mississippi was soliciting ideas from our employees. At North Mississippi, we would have about 12,000 ideas a year from our employees of how we can make improvements to any one of the critical success factors. And we had one gentleman, a lab tech, a bench tech, basically is what we call him. That's a frontline worker making, maybe $15, $20 an hour. Okay, so he wasn't in a leadership position. He was just in there doing lab work. And he discovered, just by mistake, that there was another reagent company out there that could provide reagents to us at a much reduced cost, to the tune of $700,000 of savings a year. So he turned that in as one of the ideas, and the leaders got involved, negotiated, and talked with the vendor of the reagents, found out that they were equivalent, and we changed our contract and saved $700,000 a year. Now, no leader had ever come up with that idea over 20 or 30 years of switching reagents. It was an employee that actually felt engaged and motivated and wanted to make a difference, and he offered that up as a suggestion. And $700,000 is a lot of people. As far as if you're paying those kinds of salaries, that's a lot of people that you potentially might have to let go that you can keep because you save money on those kind of supplies. And in closing, just like to kind of make a comment to the leaders in the room or the potential leaders. And quite honestly, whenever you have two people together, there's an opportunity for leadership. And as leaders, we have to realize that every leader leaves a mark, an impact. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, what sort of a mark do you want to leave? So at that, I will open the floor for any questions that you might have.
If we could put our hands together to thank John for a great talk. And we've got 20 minutes for questions to John, and then I think there's drinks afterwards if you want to catch up more informally. So, floor's open. Yes.
Sure. John, you mentioned that you had a good idea on how to develop servant leaders. I'd be keen to hear more about that.
Okay. It'll take me a couple minutes. We may eat up some of the 20 minutes. But the approach that we had was, first of all, educating the entire leadership team on what servant leadership is. And it's much more than just those characteristics. It's really delving into, in fact, my servant leadership presentation is 125 slides. So we really dive deeply into what is servant leadership. The next step is to do a 360-degree evaluation that has questions that are related to those characteristics that I went through. So there's questions related to humility and patience and kindness and respectfulness. So all 10 of those areas have questions. And you do a survey, a 360, which means your boss does a survey. You have 4 peers that do the survey, and then 4 direct reports that do the survey. And so we aggregate those results, and the person gets a report, basically a one-page report, that lists out those questions in order of highest scoring to lowest scoring. So we can celebrate, obviously, the strengths that they have, but also focus on the, we call them opportunities for improvements. A lot of people call them problems, but they're opportunities for improvement at the bottom of the list. And the way the report's divided up is you have an average score for each one of those questions, But then the powerful part of it is you have a distribution of how many 5s you had, how many 4s, how many 3s, how many 2s, and how many 1s. So you can kind of tell, you might have a question where you got all 5s, but you might have another question where you had, let's say you had 5 5s and 4 1s, which tells a different story than just looking at the averages, okay? And so then your boss also gets a copy of that report. And then we had when we did the senior leadership team, we actually had an external third party come in as a facilitator for the discussion about the results. At the end of that discussion, the employee was told, the leader was told that they had to develop an action plan that was specific and measurable and could be tracked and trended over time, because obviously we want to have improvement. You can't just do the education, the 2-day seminar, and expect everybody to go back to their office and all of a sudden become a servant leader. It takes time. In fact, one of the slides I have in the presentation is that it's a lifelong journey to become better as a leader, a servant leader. So the person goes off, they were allowed 2 weeks to develop their action plan. And then they met their boss and they went through their action plan and made any kind of adjustments. And it had to be something that was measurable. And at first, we got a lot of, well, I'm going to try harder. Well, you can't measure it, I'm going to try harder. So they had to go back then and develop specific activities that they were going to do that they could actually score somehow. Okay, and we left it up to the person because we wanted them to have ownership. If we just developed the action plan and gave it to them, there wouldn't be any ownership. So we developed that ownership. At the end of 90 days, then we had what we call a checkup. So that person and their boss sat down and they discussed the progress that had been made to that 90-day period. At the end of the next 90 days, which is 6 months from the original survey, we actually conducted another survey with the same 9 people. And we got the results, basically did the same drill again. We had a discussion of the results. We didn't have the external person, it was just between the boss and the person. They developed a specific action plan. They implemented it. They, after another 90 days, then had a checkup. And at the end of the year, we resurveyed again. So what we're starting to do is establish a trend. Are you getting better or are you getting worse? Which is very important because we want to see which way you're going. And if you scored a 4.2 out of 5 or above, then you went to a yearly evaluation process, survey process. If you scored a 2 to a 4.1, then you stayed on that every 6-month survey because we wanted those people to be more focused because obviously the people at 4.2 or above got it. The ones from 2 to 4.1 sort of got it, but they still needed work. Now, if you scored below 2, that was a completely different discussion. If anyone scored below 1, we actually asked them if they wanted to continue being a leader. And we had some people say, I really didn't want to be a leader, but my coworkers told me that I should be a leader. I don't like it. It's too much stress, too much tension, and I'm just not cut out for it. Can I go back to being a staff person? We said, sure. And we had a lot of people that did that never left the organization. They just went back to being a staff person. We had some people that said, this is a bunch of garbage and I'm not going to do it. I'm leaving. And we said goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the rear on the way out. And then we had some people that said, I didn't realize I was that bad. Will you help me to get better? And obviously the answer to that is absolutely. So then we put them on a more frequent, like a monthly type of a basis of evaluating how they were doing. The people who scored from 1 to 2, we moved them to a 90-day cycle. So they were a little bit better than the 1s or below, not as good as the ones that scored 2 or above, but we needed to keep a little more focused. So they actually had not surveys, but they had reviews with their boss every 90 days. And then they fell into that survey cycle, and if they were making improvements, then that was great. If they weren't, then we were having a discussion with them about, are you really cut out for leadership? And we had a lot of people at that point that would just say, obviously I'm not improving my scores, so you know, they either left the organization or they went back to being a staff person. So that's basically, you know, very concise, hopefully nutshell, how the process works. That's a great question.